Welcome, welcome to everyone joining us. We'll probably give it a few minutes for folks to join in. But as people trickle in, if you want to drop in the chat where you're from, where you're joining us from, we'd love to hear it. I'm seeing the chat is disabled, but if you want to drop in the Q&A where you're from, that works as well. We got folks from California, Sacramento State, got somebody else from LA, Nashville, Tennessee, Philly, somebody from Villanova, Maryland, what up, what up? Boston, ooh. Several people from Boston, hope to see you at the meetup. Buenos Aires, Baltimore, Maryland, love to see it all over. Germany. I love it. Thanks for sharing, y'all. Got somebody at Yale, somebody else from Santa Barbara, California, Bethesda, Maryland. It's so great to see you all joining us from all over the country, all over the world. We've got Canada, Kansas City. Chile, South America. All right, we'll give it a few more moments. All right, I will pass it off to our president, Kayla, to go ahead and get us started.
Awesome. Thank you, Brielle. And thank everyone for being here and for joining. It's my first time being on like this end of the welcome session, so it's a bit awkward for me, but it's fine. Thank you all so much for joining today and being a part of this week and what it means to everyone. I'm going to start off by giving a land acknowledgement and encouraging everyone to really think about not just the different lands that like we're all joining from, but what it means to at best be a guest on that land and the decorum and respect that we should bring to one another and like the indigenous populations around us. I'm joining you today from the Muskegee Creek land and the people who lived there. They worked here, they produced knowledge on this land and nurtured it. And like I said, I know we're all joining from different places, but I really invite you, not just today, but throughout this week, to reflect on the ways that you give back to this land and the communities that we've built, and your relationship to it and the people whose land this ultimately is and who it was stolen from. And so with that, I guess, Brielle, we can go into the slides. I'm really happy to be here for Black and Neuro Week and talk to you a lot about the days. I think I see my role as president really to be about facilitating the work that all of the very talented people on this call and that you'll see throughout the week have done. So much of what I'm going to talk about is just highlighting other people's work and other people's success. So today is Black in Neuro Roll Call Day, which hopefully you're used to, where the goal is really to introduce the community to one another. We'll have different days that focus on neuro across the diaspora and racism, as well as focusing on people's journey to neuroscience, Black and Neuro careers, and Black joy in neuro, as well as our last day, which is Black rest in neuro. But for me, this week is all about highlighting the incredible work and talent and skill from all of the organizers who made this possible. The next slide. And so these are some of those organizers. You can see our founding president, Angeline Dukes, is still on this call and very much a part of this team. And you can see tons of new faces. I think I feel like each year we get a new crop of people who are engaged and want to help out and want to really bring their ideas and push change and pull things forward. And that's wonderful. So these are only some of those faces, but I hope that everyone can appreciate all of the work that's been put into these days. And I believe we'll highlight more of those people throughout the week too. The next slide, please. And then I also want to give a special thanks to the board of directors, not necessarily myself, even though my face is on this slide, but all of the other people here, from Amira, our secretary, Brielle Ferguson, who's really the brains behind this whole operation and this whole week. Victoria McCrae, who's our new director of finance, Deshane Murray, who's been excellent as our development lead. Both Gwen Ayala Thomas, our former communications director, and Ashley Cunningham, who is our current communications director that you'll meet today. And our previous finance director, Danielle, and our previous president and founding president, Angeline Dukes. These are the people that sit in meetings and make really tough decisions and read a lot of boring bylaws and documents to try and make sure that there's policy and structure and innovation in the things that we do. And so they do a lot of hands-on things that are great, but they also have a lot of boring administrative roles. And I want to highlight and thank them for their part in that as well. And I also want to thank our other two board members, Christine and Ubada, who have been exceptional allies, but also great voices of reason and hype and happiness throughout these past couple of years. And then the next slide, my last slide. And I really just want to thank you all so much for all of the love that you've shown BIN as an organization and as a community and a group of people, for your contributions, both financially, but really just overall vibe too. Nothing that we do here would be possible without all of you. And I hope that that's very clear from the programming that we put on and the way that we engage with all of you. So thank you so much. I'm going to pass it over to Brielle, who knows far more than me about all of the beautiful things that are going to happen this week. But it's a pleasure to be your president in this sense and facilitate these things. So thanks.
Thank you so much, Kayla. All right, so I'm going to talk to you all a little bit about programming. It's been really interesting to be in this role as Black and Neuro has evolved. As you all know, we started in 2020, the height of the pandemic, and it's been interesting to see how we've shifted as we're bringing you, we're shifting from online into in-person. These are all the things that we're thinking about as we continue to grow. So Black and Neuro was founded on the core goals of offering resources for professional development, increasing visibility for Black scholars in neuro, and building community. And all of our programming that we put on really tries to center those core goals. So in doing that, we believe, and we're excited to share that we've made a global impact. We are really trying to grow beyond the US and make sure that we represent the community like all around the world. So here are just some quick stats. You can see that majority of our membership and participation is in the US, but we've got folks in South America, we've got folks in Nigeria, folks in Australia, and we're really trying to continue to glow. We are trying to glow as well. But continue to grow, and Shane will talk a bit more about that. And so with this global presence, we put on 110 events over the 4 years that we've been doing this. We've had 900 people sign up to be members, and let's make it 1,000 this week. I think we can do it. And we have over 22,000 registrants for all of our hundreds of free events. It's just wonderful to see. Each year we kind of take a snapshot of that and talk about a little bit, but I thought it would be cool this year to talk about what we've done over the 4 years that we've been here. So it's been really amazing to see it grow, and we're excited to keep it going. As I said, one of our core goals is providing resources. And so we do that in lots of different ways. One of our exciting past programs was BIN Pals, where we partnered with Letters to a Pre-Scientist and Black and Chem to put scientists in contact with our youth and have write them letters so they can learn about what it looks like to be a scientist. And so here's a photo from one of those events. We have an incredible professional development committee who is working tirelessly to bring you resources to help you succeed at whatever your career stage is. So an example of an event we put on last year or this year is how to shine in interviews, and we brought back the incredible Dr. Danielle Watt. And we also hosted a personal statement workshop and brought in trainees to get feedback on their personal statements by an incredible host of reviewers and volunteers that signed up to help with this. And so thank you to everyone who has attended these types of events, and thank you to people who help make them possible, and it's particularly our professional development team for working to make these happen. Another core goal is increasing visibility, and the best example of that is our seminar series. We host that monthly and highlight folks across the Black and neuro community. We've got folks that are at the graduate level, folks at the faculty level, we've got people in neurology, and we really try to highlight all the incredible paths that you can take as a neuroscientist and really change the image of what a neuroscientist looks like when you picture that in your head. So here are just a few examples of some of the folks we've highlighted just this past year. We've got people from all over the country, all over the world, and we just really want to put people on a global stage so people can see all of the brilliant neuroscience in our community. And I would be remiss without shouting out our incredible seminar series lead, Casey Dieters, who has helped to lead this effort and make all of this programming possible. As I mentioned in the beginning, it's been interesting to see kind of how we've shifted as the community has grown, and we're kind of transitioning back to more in-person events. In the beginning, all of our socials happened virtually. So here are just some examples of them. We did one through SFN. We did an open mic night. We host socials around various different identities. And then we even have started to partner with different conferences to host things in person. One of the best and biggest and most exciting examples of that was the recent SFN social. This was a gathering of over 250 Black neuroscientists in one space. It was such a beautiful, magical thing to be a part of, and we hope is only just the beginning. And we look forward to this growing every year and are really looking for opportunities to partner with other conferences to be able to put on more events like this. Here's just an example of one of the many groups that were there. So this is Black and Neuro faculty. We've got Black and Neuro postdocs. We've got Black and Neuro graduate students. And I think the biggest thing that's clear from this, seeing this entire stairway of smiling, beautiful trainees, the future is very bright. So we're just so excited for this to keep growing and for the work that we're doing to keep growing. But to get to why we're all here, we're here for BIN Week. As Caleb mentioned, we've got a really exciting week planned for you. Similar to previous years, each day is organized around a theme where we try to both celebrate all of the excellence in the community, shine light on exciting things that are happening, but also try to grapple with some of the issues that we're dealing with that are particular to our community. While I would love to go through all of the events we have planned, there's not time for that, but just to highlight a few, just to give you a flavor of what we have going on. For example, tomorrow we've got on Wednesday for Neuro-Racism Day, we've got a panel on neuro-racism and mental health. Now more than ever, it's really important to have discussions about protecting our peace. Black and marginalized folks take on so much of a disproportionate burden of this work. And so it's important to protect your space, rest, and we hope through this panel to give you some practical strategies for figuring out how to do that for yourself. As another example, on Friday, July 28th, we have a workshop, The Science of Negotiation. We think this is so important, again, particularly for Black and marginalized folks. So often we can feel just so happy to even exist in these spaces. We find it hard to ask for what we want. And so we hope that you'll join this workshop so you can learn how to ask for and advocate for what you need and give you that confidence to do that successfully. So with that, I will pass it off to our Development Director, Dr. Deshane Murray.
Thank you, Bria. So I'm going to give you a brief development update, but we'll probably give a slight recap of last year. So if you go to the next slide, please. So we originally started down this chapters route and we launched, if we would go to the next slide, we launched BIN Manhattan in September of 2022. So this has actually gone very well for us, and we are actually now using this as a model to scale up where we want and are looking to create more safe spaces for Black and Euro folks in institutions, but also around institutions. So we're primarily doing this across the US, but are looking at taking this much further afield. So we do need your help with regards to this, and this is why this is my role as development. It's about getting boots on the ground and getting things done. So we're really looking at finding students and trainee leaders who can really help us spearhead these groups. If you go to the next slide, please. So this is along the lines of our programming for this week as well, where we're looking at building slowly and sustainably. And as Brielle said, moving from being fully virtual to having more of an in-person presence. So you will see on Saturday, July 29th, we are having Black Joy in Neuro Day, but we are looking at having official in-person meetups, and these will be in LA, so Los Angeles, Atlanta, Chicago, Boston, Minneapolis, Durham, New York City, Montreal, and Ibadan in Nigeria. So we're really looking at using these in-person meetings to act as a catalyst and really help us shape the next step in our development, which will be chapters as far and as wide as we can find them and found them. So we're asking for your patience in this space because it does take a lot to form these communities and to form them organically. But also, if there are any locations currently that are not served by these in-person meetups, please do email me directly at development@blackandneuro.com, and we can see what we can do for you and try and build this global community. And next, we go to global cohesion. So we're talking about this global community, and we don't want it to be lip service. It's just that a lot of our organizers are based in the UK, US, and Canada, but we have a membership that is far further afield. So to facilitate this effort, we also, again, need your help. So this year and tomorrow, specifically, we're having a town hall where we're talking about the state of the Black and Neuro diaspora. So this is going to be a slightly different event and quite a frank conversation where it's open to all to really just come. It will be an open meeting, not a webinar like this. And we want to hear from you. We want to know what is the best way that we can really grow globally. Talking about collaborations, the sharing of resources, and how Black and Neuro can better facilitate that, because we want to be there and want to be a global platform for you. So we have grown dramatically in these last 4 years. 3 years, 3 to 4 years. And we know that we are going to grow quite a bit further. And now the real aim is our global development. And next slide, please. So also in line with that, we are having a social media campaign, which will start tomorrow. So across the 24 hours of Neuro Across the Diaspora Day, we are looking at highlighting Black scientists in neuro-related fields across the world. So we're really going to highlight the breadth of talent within our community. And I can say just from collating this, that we have a wealth of researchers. Last year, we have people from Argentina, Chile, Australia, Sudan, and we're really just looking to highlight them and put a spotlight on people that may not necessarily get the shine, but definitely deserve it within our community. So we're asking you to get involved if you can on Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, which is where you will see these posts. Also, if you can, share your own stories, because we want to hear about Black in Neuro world that is around us and that is being shaped by us as well. Thank you. So I think those are my slides, and I think I will hand over to Victoria, but I think I do have a question in the Q&A, which is, if there aren't sufficient members in a region, could we join a chapter that is part of another country? It's a very good question. We will, I think we're trying our best to facilitate and support everyone in that way in their locales, but it may be a case that someone is isolated, that it would be useful where they can to join up and maybe join up with virtual events. Obviously, an in-person event would be very difficult, but we're trying to stretch as far and wide as we can in the community. If not, try and pair chapters together so they could be more region supported rather than just being in a direct specific space. But yeah, happy to also with that person, if they're happy to speak to me directly, if they are in quite an isolated space, it would be nice to kind of hear a bit more and see what we can do specifically for them. But now I'll hand over to Victoria.
Maybe Ashley could go for the communications.
I'll start off for the communications part because we'll be discussing newsletter. My name is Amira, for those who don't know. I'm the new secretary of Black in Neuro. I want to start by highlighting the newsletter, which is a monthly email blast that we send out to everyone that's subscribed. In this newsletter, we share both past events that are on our YouTube channel, and we also share upcoming events. So as you can see here, this was an upcoming event about a lecture series that was going on. Next slide. In addition, one of the most important things that we share in our newsletter are opportunities that are relevant for our BIN community. So we share scholarships, we share any applications for faculties that are open up. We also share if there's anything for conferences that you'd like to attend. So if ever there are things you'd like to send us, please feel free to email me at blackinneuro@gmail.com with just opportunity, and I'll share the Google form where you can submit the opportunities that will then be sent in the newsletter. Next slide. And also here, you can see in our website, basically, if you go to blackinneuro.com and scroll to the bottom, you can subscribe to our newsletter by just putting in your first name, your last name, and your email, and you'll be part of that email blast that we get sent out every month. Next slide. In addition to that, not only am I the secretary, I'm also the blog manager for Black in Neuro, and I'm very happy to say that the Black in Neuro Perspectives blog was launched this March, so March 2020. Since its launching, we've had 5 posts. 2 of them are highlighted here, or you can see one is a letter to my younger self by Jonathan Daniels. We've also had another post by Maya Foster called I'll Be Back, where she highlighted her experiences doing an internship in South Korea. So we're very excited to have this blog posts come out. If you're interested in submitting a post or submitting a pitch about a potential post you would like to write, feel free to email me again at blog@blackinneuro.com and just write up what you'd like to write, and I'd be happy to contact you. And that's it for me. So next slide. Oh, sorry. And this is how just examples on the website. If you go on blackinneuro.com, you go to the blog, we have a little a page where you can see how you can submit a post. So for example, potential topics are: why am I proud to be Black in Neuro? The untold challenges of being Black in Neuro, disparities in neuro, and how we can do better, which goes in line to Black in Neuro world that Deshane just talked about. So again, feel free to email us or email me. I'll be happy to communicate with you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Cunningham, and I am the new communications director for Black in Neuro. So as Brielle kind of mentioned, Black in Neuro started as a grassroots organization with a call by our founding president, Angeline Dukes, asking us if we wanted to start this organization. And since then, Black in Neuro as an organization has expanded our social media network across the globe. So our Instagram currently has 8,062 followers, and our Twitter has an astronomical 29,200 followers. And what's great about our social media is that it really helps us connect with people across the globe. And so, as Brielle mentioned, we have tons of programming that happens year round. And one of the best ways to participate in our programming and amplify the work that we are doing and amplify the work of Black neuro-related professionals is to follow our social media. It gives you the opportunity to repost anything that we are promoting, and just keeps you up to date on all of the things that we are working on. So I encourage everyone here to follow both our Instagram and our Twitter accounts, and encourage those around you to follow these accounts as well. Black and Neuro is not just for Black folks, it's also for our allies. And there's so many opportunities for all of us to get involved with all of the things that we're working on. Next slide. So in terms of Black and Neuro Week, today is one of our biggest days with our Black and Neuro roll call. So this is an opportunity for all Black and Neuro members to amplify their voices and let us know who they are, where they're from, and just announce to the world that you are here and you want to take up space. So I encourage everyone here, if you identify as Black and Neuro, to use the hashtag Black and Neuro roll call. And tag Black and Neuro so that we can amplify your introduction to the world. You can do this on both Twitter or Instagram, and we will be reposting all day. And if you don't feel like you have the time or the capacity to get this posted today, don't worry, we will continue to re-amplify and repost any information that you want to share about yourself to our community throughout the rest of the week. Next slide, please. And finally, we really encourage all Black and Neuro members to join the Slack. So to join the Slack, you do have to make a profile on our website. But the great thing about our website is that once you make a profile, you are part of this huge database. So at this point, we have 986 current members on our directory. And so this directory acts as a place where organizations that are looking for speakers can come to and seek out Black folks to amplify our voices and our mission. So once you create a membership profile, you can join the Slack. And the Slack is really amazing because it is a central hub for Black and Neuro folks to get directly connected to each other. And so in the Slack, we have different channels, and we're working on creating different Slack channels for different regions so that it'll be even easier for us to start to organize these meetups that we're starting to as we try to transition away from online meetups to in-person meetups. And so actually I have a question here in the chat. And the question is, if we only have a LinkedIn, could we still be reposted? Absolutely. So we will be active on LinkedIn as well. So yes, if you are only on LinkedIn, or if your main source of social media is LinkedIn, we will be happy to repost you there and amplify your voice to our community. And so with that, I think that's it for me. Oh, sorry. Yes. And finally, I want to give flowers to my our original communications director and co-founder, BINW23 Thomas. She has been foundational in making sure that our communication is seamless with our community, because all of the work we do would mean nothing if we weren't able to clearly communicate it with you all. Next slide, please. And so some of the things that BINW has contributed is she spearheaded the establishment of the Black and Neuro Slack channel, which, as I just mentioned, is a great resource for our community. She also was critical in planning the very first Black and Neuro in-person social at SFN, which, as Brielle mentioned, was a space where we had 250 Black and Neuro members, which is, as she said, just a beautiful, beautiful experience. BINW has also been critical in establishing communication guidelines that we will continue to build on throughout the rest of Black and Neuro. And very importantly, Gwenaëlle is a humble mentor and friend. She has been so kind to me and patient with me as I've learned to take over her reins. And I have known of her for a very long time. And I know many people that are just so grateful to have her in their life. So Gwenaëlle, I appreciate you. We appreciate you. And thank you so much for all of your hard work and dedication to Black and Neuro.
Awesome. I can talk a little bit about finance and our sponsorship. So my name is Victoria. I'm the newest director of finance. As we've kind of been alluding to, there's been some transitions with our leadership, and I'm taking over the role for Danielle Naden. But first, I'll just talk a little bit about just a warm thank you to our sponsors and our donors. We're so grateful for your contributions. You know, with your support, we're able to further our mission, those 3 pillars of increasing visibility, providing resources, and building community. We're able to do those things with our largest conference of the year being Black and Neuro Week. So we're very grateful for all that you've given. So this year, we've also introduced the option for in-kind sponsorship, was a completely new model, which I can talk a little bit more about on the next slide. So we just want to send a warm thank you. So we were really impressed with some of the opportunities that were brought to the team for our in-kind sponsorships. You might have chatted with myself or Danielle or Christine if you reached out over email. And these were really opportunities to provide services for free or at completely discounted rates for our members, which is really helpful, providing those contributions directly to our community. So we've received some really awesome offerings for in-kind sponsorships. We've received some tailored workshops dedicated to early career researchers, career coaching, offerings for mock interviews and graduate school application help, things that are super important to our trainees as they're growing in their roles, and complimentary membership to tailored societies for Black and Neuro members, which is extremely helpful considering barriers like the cost of attendance for a number of different societies and conferences. So we're extremely grateful to that. We'd also like to thank all of our sponsors, monetary contributions as well. Because of your support, we're able to put on this really awesome programming. And I would encourage everyone to take a look at our website at some point this week, and you can learn more about specific details for each of these different opportunities, in kind or monetary, and really see these groups that have come forward to support. We'll also be doing some shout outs throughout the week for them as well. You might notice in your conference booklet or at the start of events. So on the next slide, I can talk a little bit about ways you can support us. So if you're familiar with our website, you can also make a donation there. It's extremely easy. It's tax deductible. So that's also an option. So while we're no longer accepting sponsorships for Black and Neuro Week, you can always reach out to us over email. You might have talked with myself already, but you can reach out to anyone on the team. And for future events or even planning for next year, we're always really open to building these different offerings and services to our community. And we're really grateful for that. And of course, we would like you to keep showing up and engaging for our members, for our allies, our community is abroad. We are streaming events online. We'll be doing live tweeting and social media updates. We'll be providing updates in lots of different channels. So there's lots of ways to tune in. And that's extremely helpful to our community. So thank you. And we can just go to the next slide. So I will also give a shout out and a huge warm thank you to our previous director of finance, Danielle. It's really hard to fit so many amazing things about Danielle. She was one of the first people to really bring me into the community. Like when I joined in 2021 for the organizing team, she was probably the first person to take me under her wing and just reaffirm that this was a community for me, and I was allowed to take up space as well, and my voice really mattered. So I'll also give a couple shout outs to some amazing things, not exhaustive list, unfortunately, because of the time, but some really fantastic things that she's contributed. So being part of the founding team, one of our co-founders for the organization, really being building that financial and strategic planning landscape for the organization. It's been very difficult, difficult, but just a challenge to transition from, just a grassroots organization to a nonprofit. And Danielle has played, along with others and other leaders on our board, has played a really pivotal role in shaping that. Danielle has also spearheaded and handled compensation for our speakers. So really valuing that fair and equitable ability to compensate people for their time, and all these expert speakers that we've invited. We can do that because of all of these guidelines and ways that we're able to provide back to our speakers in that way. Outside of the financial and strategic space, really prioritizing accessibility for events. So for differently abled individuals, auditory and visual, Danielle has played a super pivotal and important role in just making sure that all of these events are accessible in as many ways as they can be. Something I've also worked really closely with Danielle is for communicating our impact. We document, it's hard to document so many of these different programs that we have throughout the years. Danielle has played a really amazing part in communicating our impact through the annual reports, and she'll continue to play a strategic role for a long time based with that. And outside of, her work with BIN, just a really strong, decorated scientist, artist, and science communicator. Being a director for another group dedicated to science communication with artistry, and being able to provide that information, disseminate resources that way, has been super helpful and amazing to our group. So we're just really grateful for all that she has to offer, and she'll continue to be a mentor to me. So I think that was about all that I had. So I think, yeah, I'll pass it back to Brielle.
Thank you, Victoria, and thanks everyone. There's no way we could leave here without honoring the contributions of Dr. Angeline Dukes, our founding president. We could have an entire presentation about this, but in the interest of time, we're just going to highlight a couple things, but I'm going to put it out here that we cannot say enough to thank her for all of the work that she has done, and energy and love and everything that she has poured into this organization. But we're going to try to just acknowledge her in some small way to start. A few things. She is a tireless advocate for elevating Black voices and community outreach. You see her on Twitter, always in these Twitter streets, big upping people, amplifying people's voices, all of that. She is that and more in person, doing the work, and both that is her job and that's not her job. She is going above and beyond to make sure that she is elevating the voice of our community, and just out here just really, really putting in the time to make a change, and she's done that. She has been an incredible leader for both Black and Neuro as an organization, but just the global Black and Neuro community. It takes a lot to do this type of work. We know that we bear a disproportionate burden of this work. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. And all of us are volunteers. We are graduate students, we're postdocs, we're faculty, and we can only show up and continue doing this, and for anybody who does this type of work, if you are led by someone who really values that and energizes you and makes you want to continue to show up. And she could not have been better at that. When we were tired, when it was difficult to move forward, she was always there to give us that energy and really push us forward. So we cannot thank her enough for that. As I said, she is a constant force for championing DE&I. She does it not just when it's easy and when it's popular. She is really making sure that people are showing up in the ways that they should, both in Black and Neuro, in her organization at University of Minnesota, and just throughout the world. And then outside of that, most importantly, she's just a lovely person. Again, you see her on Twitter and you can tell that she is nice and bubbly and vibrant. In person, she is that times 100. Like, it's just so amazing to have been able to interact with her and grow in our friendship. And I'm just like so honored to have been able to share space with her. And I know that anyone that she has worked with in any capacity would say the same. So we cannot thank you enough, Angeline. We're not letting you go. You still are expected to stay on as honorary co-founding president as long as you can. We would love to keep you on forever. So thank you again to Angeline. Thank you to Gwen-Iel, and thank you to Danielle for all of your work and contributions. Like I said, we couldn't fit all of the things that we would love to say in this, but just so you get a sense of the impact that you've had for us personally, and then for the organization, we wanted to make sure you felt that. To close, I just want to thank everyone for coming today. We're super, super excited for the week. For today, again, it's Black and Neuro Roll Call, so keep amplifying, keep retweeting, keep engaging with the content, share your own stuff. We can't wait to share it. We can't wait to meet everyone. We're across all social media platforms, so Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I know I'm old, but there's Threads and Spills. We aren't on those, but you should share on those as well. Get the word out. For the rest of the week, we've got lots of exciting free virtual events. So continue to spread the word, continue to share, continue to show up. Tomorrow is Neuro Across the Diaspora. We've got a really incredible keynote from Dr. Flavia Santos, so you won't want to miss that. And then our town hall is, as Shane mentioned, on the state of the Black and Neuro diaspora. So stay tuned, check your inbox for all of the links to how to participate and engage. And we can't wait to see you throughout the week. Thanks so much, everyone.